I don't know exactly why, but that day, the air felt heavy even before I turned the corner to my street. Maybe it was exhaustion. I had just walked out of a 12-hour hospital shift. No breaks, no breathers. My legs throbbed. Every muscle begged for rest. All I wanted was to drop my bag, take off my shoes, and collapse into bed. But as soon as I stepped onto the sidewalk in front of my house, I knew something was wrong. The red light on the security camera flicked on, as if it recognized me. Should have made me feel safe. But instead, felt like it was mocking me. Froze. The windows were dark, yet I could sense someone inside. The silence coming from the house wasn't right. And then, I saw her, Lorraine Foster, my husband's mother, arms crossed, with that smile that always felt more poison than politeness. She was speaking through the doorbell camera like an actress on stage, rehearsed and ready. "Isabel," she said, her voice soaked in fake sweetness. "Noah finally realized this house belongs to the family. And you were never good enough for him." Her words struck like arrows. But instead of falling apart, something inside me ignited. I had seen that look from her before. But this time she crossed a line. It wasn't veiled contempt anymore. It was open war. And even drained, I knew I wouldn't back down. My hands were still shaking, not from work this time, but rage. I gripped my bag tightly and straightened my spine, even as my heart pounded in my throat. "Where's Noah?" I asked, staring straight into the camera, voice steady. I needed to hear it from him. But Lorraine didn't hesitate. Her voice crackled through the speaker, smug and satisfied. "He's not here. He's at my house, resting, thinking things through." Then she raised a crumpled piece of paper like it was a prize. "He left this for you." My stomach turned. That wasn't Noah. Not the man I knew. I pulled out my phone instantly. "I'm calling him." She let out a dry laugh, the kind that makes your soul age. "You won't reach him, sweetheart. He changed his number. Fresh start, you know how it is." Each word felt like a stab. "There are a few boxes with your things outside. Take them and go. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." I turned my head. 3 boxes were stacked beside the door. My clothes thrown in carelessly. Some underwear visible like trash. Shame tried to creep in, but there was no space for it. What I felt was cold, focused anger. I took a deep breath. "Lorraine," I said, keeping my tone calm, "you still have a chance to open this door and tell me what's really going on. 'Cause right now, you're committing crimes. And I don't think you want me to start listing them." She scoffed. "This house is my son's. He has every right to come here and take what doesn't belong to the family." The way she said "what doesn't belong" cut deeper than I'd admit. But I stood my ground. "This house is under my name, Lorraine," I replied, each word like a gavel. "I paid for every cent. What you're doing is called trespassing. Harassment. Want me to go on?" For the first time, her smile cracked. She tried to keep composure, but her eyes betrayed her. In that moment, I knew she wasn't sure of anything, not the note in her hand, not the version she was clinging to. And while she always tried to control the narrative, I had something she never expected: proof. I remembered when I bought that house. Noah wanted his name on the deed for security, for commitment. But I had said no. Told him it was for tax reasons. Truth is, it was instinct. I had always known Lorraine would try to take everything. I raised my phone again and held up the screen. "Want my lawyer to explain everything in detail." I tapped Julius' name, my best friend since college, now a criminal attorney. "You've got 30 minutes to leave before I call the police. And this time, Lorraine, no apologies going to fix it." I turned around and walked to my car. My steps were slow and steady, like someone walking into battle. But knowing they would win. I got into the car with trembling legs, not from fear, but from bottled rage and emotional exhaustion. I shut the door and sat in silence. What did she think? That she could just change the locks and dump my clothes outside like I was some unwanted guest? She underestimated the wrong woman. I wasn't the naive girl she met 5 years ago. I had been preparing since last Christmas. That night, during dinner, I overheard her whispering to Noah, "You need to be a man and take control of your life." She said it like I wasn't even there, like I was wallpaper. That night, I began saving everything. Suspicious messages, screenshots, audios, surprise visits. I backed it all up. Deep down, I knew this day would come. I just didn't expect her to be this bold. Called Julia. She picked up before the second ring. "Let me guess," she said sharply. "Hell, mother strikes again." I told her everything. Her tone grew more serious with each word. "She locked you out of your own house and claimed Noah left you." I nodded, even though she couldn't see. "Did you talk to him?" I took a deep breath. "No." She said he changed his number. "And Julia, something's wrong. This isn't like him." A new fear began to build inside me. What if Lorraine had done something to him? Something real. Something dangerous. Julia sensed it. "Want me to call the police?" she asked. "Not yet," I said. "Give me 15 minutes. I need to try something first." I hung up and scrolled to one name in my contacts. Thomas Foster. Noah's younger brother. The only one I could trust. Called. He picked up instantly. "Isabel. Thank God. I've been trying to reach Noah all day. Mom said he was at the hospital, but I called, he never showed up." His voice was tense, laced with worry. "She didn't let you in?" he asked. "Worse. She changed the locks," I said flatly. "Can you come over and bring the key to your parents' place? Think she's got him there." Thomas didn't even hesitate. "I'm on my way." 20 minutes later, his car pulled up. He got out, no words needed. We stood side by side, staring at the locked door, the boxes of my life scattered outside, and the silence of what should have been our home. "She even turned off the security cameras," he muttered. "Dad doesn't want to get involved, but this is beyond anything we've seen." Noah's childhood home had always felt cold to me. Not because of the size or decor, but because every wall seemed to judge. Every hallway held a secret. When we arrived, it was already dark. But I saw Noah's Audi parked beside Lorraine's Mercedes. My heart skipped. "He's here," I whispered. Thomas unlocked the front door with steady hands. We slipped in. The place looked untouched, like a museum. Every picture frame was perfectly aligned. Every flower arrangement. The air was sterile, emotionless. We moved through the hallways in silence, each echo on the wooden floor making my chest tighten. "Check the guest rooms," I told Thomas. "I'm going to your dad's study." It was the one place Lorraine rarely touched. A room hidden behind a heavy wooden door, with thick curtains and a dusty old desk. I saw light beneath the door. I knocked softly. "Noah." Silence. Then slow footsteps. The handle turned. And there he was. Noah. Ill. Disoriented. Eyes swollen. Hair a mess. Shirt wrinkled. It was him, but a version I'd never seen. For a moment everything stopped. He looked lost, like he was just waking up from a nightmare. "Isabel?" he asked, voice hoarse and distant. "What are you doing here?" I stepped closer, slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. "Are you okay?" I asked, touching his arm. He swayed. I helped him to the office couch. His body limp, like his strength had been drained. "She drugged you, didn't she?" I asked, though I already knew. Noah blinked, confused. "She said it was just something to help me relax." I was stressed. The nausea hit me hard. How can someone say they're helping while stealing someone's will? Thomas appeared in the doorway and froze. "Jesus," he whispered. "She really did it." He nodded. "We need to get him to a hospital." Thomas called for an ambulance while I checked Noah's vitals. His pulse. His breath. The doctor and me knew sedatives. Likely a blend of anti-anxiety drugs and sleep inducers. Enough to keep him calm and compliant. This wasn't family drama. This was a crime. As Noah leaned on my shoulder, murmuring nonsense, I made a silent vow Lorraine would not get away with this. The next few hours were a blur. Ambulance, police, hospital. Relief and horror mixed in my chest. Relief that he was alive. Horror at what might have happened if we had arrived just a little later. Noah was taken in for immediate evaluation. I stayed outside, biting my nails, holding back tears as I gave Julia every detail. A few hours later, the doctor returned with the results. It was a mix of sedatives and tranquilizers, he said. The dosage was calculated just enough to leave him confused, obedient but not unconscious. Julia arrived shortly after, her expression sharp, holding a folder full of documents. This, she said, showing the screenshots, messages and camera footage ID saved to the cloud, is more than enough to make sure she pays for everything. 2 days later, the police found Lorraine hiding at her sister's house in New York. She already had a ticket to Pittsburgh, probably trying to disappear. But it was too late. The report had been filed. The evidence was overwhelming. On top of the security footage and the medical reports, even Noah's father filed for divorce and handed over old recordings, proof that Lorraine had been planning to get rid of me for a long time. Lorraine Foster was arrested without bail. And I knew that was just the beginning. The days that followed were intense. Noah began truly waking up after 48 hours in the hospital. When he finally opened his eyes, he still seemed lost in time. But little by little, the memories came back in painful flashes. She kept bringing me tea, he said in a faint voice. Said it was to help me relax, that I needed rest, and then everything felt blurry. I'd hear her talking about the house, about you, but it was like I was dreaming. I held his hand tight, swallowing the tears. She drugged you, Noah. For days. She wanted you to believe you were better off without me. The recovery wasn't easy. Beyond the physical effects of the drugs, there was the emotional weight. The betrayal of a mother leaves deep scars, especially when you've spent your whole life believing she only wanted what was best. Noah started therapy. He went through phases: anger, grief, denial. But he had me. And I stayed by his side every single day. Just like I promised. Julia handled everything with the legal system. The report became a lawsuit. Lorraine was formally charged with unlawful imprisonment, document forgery, property invasion, poisoning, and attempted financial fraud. The trial was swift but tense. Lorraine walked into court with her usual cold expression, hands folded, still pretending she had control. But when Noah took the stand and described in detail what she had done, how she tried to erase me from his life, even the jurors looked away. She couldn't deny it. She was sentenced to 17 years in prison. And me. I finally felt the cycle was ending. Not just for me, but for him. After the trial, everything felt different. The air itself seemed lighter, more honest. We sold the old house, the one I had bought on my own, but that now carried too many dark memories. Instead, we found a small farmhouse on the edge of town. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't big. But it was ours. Place where ghosts couldn't follow. Where silence didn't hurt. Where we could finally start over for real. Mornings began to smell like fresh coffee and birdsong. Evenings brought open skies and slow conversations on the porch. Mark, or rather, Thomas, visited often, bringing laughter and that quiet support only someone who witnessed it all can give. Even Robert, Noah's father, started showing up again. Regretful, shame, but trying now that he was finally free of Lorraine's grip. Some days the past felt far away, others not so much, especially when it arrived in envelopes. Letters from prison, written by Lorraine, still trying to justify, explain, manipulate. She claimed she only wanted what was best for the family, that I had changed Noah, that the world was against her. First we opened them, then we stopped. Now we just file them. Julia keeps them for safety, not out of fear, but because we've learned some people never truly change. And the only power they have left is guilt. But guilt doesn't work on us anymore. One evening, almost a year later, Noah and I sat on our porch, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and lavender. The breeze was soft, and for the first time the world felt at peace. He looked at me with the clearest eyes I'd ever seen, free from the weight he'd carried for so many years. "You knew," he said quietly. "That's why you put the house in your name. That's why you saved everything. Because you saw who she was long before I did." I held his hand. I hoped I was wrong. But if I wasn't, I had to be ready. He lifted my fingers to his lips, with a tenderness that said more than words. "Thank you for fighting for us when I couldn't." We sat in silence, watching the last light disappear behind the hills. Sometimes it's the darkest moments in life that lead us to the right place. Lorraine tried to destroy us, but in the end she only made us stronger. Today we've built something real. No control, no manipulation, just love, respect, and the unshakable truth that we'll never let anyone erase our story again. Yes, we still get letters from prison, but they don't matter anymore. What matters is what we're building. Real home, a real future. And if you've made it this far, maybe this story touched you too. So take a deep breath and help me share this message. If you believe that true love sets you free, not traps you, leave a like, comment what you would have done in my place, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell, because every week there's a new story. And the next one might be even more real than you imagine.